At these brothers. Me and this morning, I want to talk about a level of power that very few people talk about. I want to talk about a level of power, man, that very few people know about. And at the same time, a level of power that even if a person knows about it and has access to it and can see it, a lot of times their ego will not allow them to entertain it, to step into it, right? You know, this morning, man, after I finished my meditation, man, and for those that are watching me, I'm not sure what time you're watching this video, but it's currently 5:39 a.m. on September the 5th. After my meditation, man, I was on IG and I saw this clip, and I need to go back and watch the whole video. I saw this clip of Tyrese on the Shannon Sharp show. And when this clip started, he was turning away from Shannon, looking at the camera, and he said, after Cat Williams left this show, why did y'all start entertaining Cat Williams? And he said it was because y'all wanted those numbers, right? Of course, right? He was talking about all these people that interviewed him. And he said, but y'all couldn't get those numbers. And he was like, why is that? He said, if it was all about Cat Williams coming online, telling his truth and giving the tea, why didn't everybody else do the same numbers as Shannon Sharp? And then he looked at Shannon Sharp, man, and he said, like, why is this? And Shannon Sharp was just kind of mumbling over his words. And he said, it's because of that oil. And when he said that, I knew what he was talking about. I knew what he was really saying. He says because of that oil. And then he said that word. He says because you have that favor. And he was saying like why didn't Gail do the numbers that you did with Cat Williams? Like, she's associated with Oprah. Why didn't she do those numbers? You have to understand when he talks about this oil and this favor, like that's a level of power, man, that very few men will really understand. And I'm telling you this, man, we can seek a lot of things as men on this planet. We can seek a lot of the fancy, shiny things and beautiful things. And these are part of the process. But to receive favor is a completely different animal, man. So how does a person receive favor, bro? You got to go back to the whole process of going from awareness to awakening. You got to go through the whole process of a man. When a man comes into an awareness of, hey, things are different, and he goes on that journey to find himself, to find this power, to find God, right? And like I always talk about it, man, there's a process to it. There's a crossing the threshold of leaving the old world. There's a process of going through the pasture and healing yourself. There's a process of going through life, man, and denying the old world to step into a new version of you, right? You have to understand that once you step into this new version of you, a man starts to understand his power. In that process, he understands the creation process. And once a man understands this, he becomes powerful. A man becomes powerful to the point where he can create his world. He can create the nice things. He can create the homes and the cars and the women. He can create. Like this is part of the experience. But understanding that, man, you can go back to what Charles Hannell said in his book, Master Key System. And this is the beginning of this power I'm talking about. When Charles Hannell said, hey, you know what? And of course, I'm paraphrasing. Charles Hannell said, you know, at some point in time, when a man finally finds that power, he'll be able to create the trinkets of this world. He'll be able to thrive. It said, but at some point, and when he said this, he was really only talking about a certain percentage of people. He said at some point that, you know, this man will, you know, not really fall out of love with the things that he can create, but fall more in love with the power itself. He'll fall more in love with the power itself. Man, you have to understand, man, that's a very sacred spot for a man to be in position and fall in love with strictly the power of being able to create whatever he wants. Because you got to understand, when a man falls in love with the power itself, it sends him into a hermit mode. It sends him into isolation. It sends him back into the silence. And the thing is, the majority of time when we're talking about going into the silence, it's always about, you know, trying to find more understanding, trying to get it out the mud. Like, let's go into the silence and find those answers. But bro, when you go into the silence at a high, it's a completely different experience, bro. You go into that place, man. You go into that place with understanding, and it's a completely different exchange of information with you and source. You know what I'm saying? And what it does, it puts a man in a position where he can see a certain thing, he can see himself, he can see the world, and it puts him in a position to do a certain thing, right? When a man has that power, of course he can continue to create, but at the same time, there's an even deeper level of something to tap into, right? And that thing is going back to the beginning. That thing is coming from a place of high position because you're in this energy and putting yourself back on the bottom. In other words, putting yourself in a servant state. I'm gonna tell you this, man, being a servant is the highest level order of walking this planet, bro. A servant with understanding, it's the highest level of being. And what I mean, man, is like, I'm sure a lot of y'all, like when I used to play Call of Duty, and I'm sure it's the same way. You know, you play Call of Duty, man, and I believe, you know, you go through the ranks, and I believe you would hit like a 50 on the rank. And once you hit 50, it's like you maxed out. But at some point, I think you can go back to square one where you're a rank 1 again, but you have the understanding of a 50. And I think they might put some kind of identifier by your name or rank. It's like that, bro. It's like when a man is at the top of the mountain and he makes a conscious decision to become a servant. In other words, when a man says, I have this power, what can I do with it? And instead of continuing to create my world full time, yes, I can create my world, but what I want to do with this power is worship source with it. And it ties into the video I made yesterday, man, when they're saying, hey, you know what? When you look at your brother, you're looking at yourself. When you're looking at your brother, you're looking at God. So the highest form of order is being a man that has enlightenment, understanding, embraces his power, and takes that power and want to go back to the bottom and serve God with it. When you become a servant, brother, like that puts you in a position of favor. And like I'm saying, like it's a beautiful thing to be able to create on this world, man. Like yeah, you want the dollars, yeah, you want the things, but brother, you want the favor, because with the favor comes immunity. With the favor comes a bending of the laws. And when I say bending of the laws, what I'm really saying is a lot of things in your life won't make sense to somebody else. Like, people will be able to look at your life from the outside. They might see what you do for a living. They might see how you function with, but your life doesn't match up. Like it doesn't match up because you have favor, man. You have that oil on you. You're living under a completely different set of rules. When a man has that power, bro, and takes that power and goes back to the ground floor to serve his brothers and sisters, man, you live up under a completely different set of rules, man. On a completely different set of rules, man. So I believe that's the level of power every man should strive for, man. You know, like, I'll say this. Like, Soul died some years ago. I don't know when the old version of me died, but it died some years ago. And when I say the old version of me died, it's like there came a point in time in my life, man, where I said, you know what, man, like life is good. Life has been good. I've done some good things, but at this point in time in my life, man, like it's no longer about me. It's about mankind. It's about mankind. And it's like every single day I wake up, man, like all I want to do is serve, bro. In other words, it's like my life is not my own. And the thing is I understand why it's hard to get to this position now. And again, not saying that I'm not saying that, bro, but I'm saying I understand what keeps a man from finding that favor. Because the thing is this, man, power can be a drug. Like when a lot of people get power, that ego can attach to that power. And a lot of men want to walk in a room and want to be able to beat their chest. A lot of men want to be, and women, a lot of people want to go inside of a room and be put on a pedestal. But when you step into this level of power, you don't want the pedestal, bro. You want to be the man in the back corner, quiet, with understanding of everything that's going on and being able to put energy into the room to help your brothers. Power is like a crack, man. It's a drug. You got to understand, man, but the deepest level of power, or really the highest order of power, is very quiet, man. It's very quiet. And I've been in situations, man, where I've had, whether it's friends, I've been in relationships. I'll say it like this. I've been in relationships with women that want to be, they want to be viral. They want to be celebrities. They want to be this, and they'll attach to me and want me to ride this wave of me wanting to pump my chest like I'm soul. It's like, no, like I'm on the other end. Like a man doesn't have to display power when he's really walking in it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to display power. You don't have to be on a pedestal if you're really walking in it. Because now you're in that I am state. You're in that God state. So it's just a different way to live, man. And I'm telling you, man, if you want to tap into that favor, bro, if you want your world to just not make sense, you got to become a servant, bro. You have to become a servant. Even when I look at my life, man, even when I look at, for example, I can look at, like back when I was making red pill content and back when I was in a different energy, man, like my life was doing something completely different. Like there was some times, man, where I could put a YouTube video out and man, that thing might do $40,000, $50,000 views in a day and a half, man. And it's like, now I can put a video out. A video might get 500 views. Video might get 2,000 views, but it's like I'm under something different. Like what my life was doing back then with the struggles and all this stuff compared to what my life is doing now, it just doesn't make sense. Like from a worldly view, as far as what's taking place in my, it just doesn't make sense from the blessings that I receive. So that's what I'm talking about favor, man. And you have to understand this. Like a lot of people, and this is something I had to understand. Like a lot of people, like you have to understand that your blessing is when you tap into that favor. When you tap into that servant mindset. When you tap into that part of yourself where you're saying, you know what, man, I just want to wake up and be a blessing to mankind. You have to understand that when you tap into that, it's going to uncover that gift inside of you. Not that you can't see it, but it's almost like some people, I understand this now. Some people can see that gift inside of themselves, but they can't access it. They know it's there, but you got to understand when you put yourself in a position where you're saying, you know what, man, like all I want to do is help my brothers. It's going to just open that glass door and that gift is yours. Now you have access to it because now you have the intent to give and to serve with it. Every single person, man, has that thing. But once you go into that servant mindset, brother, it's like, now I know what to do with this gift. And it's like once you do that, man, every single person you interact with, every single person, I'll say this, every single person I interact with, man, my whole intent is, how can I make your life better? How can I make your life better? How can what I know, how can what I do, how can what I have access to, how can I make your life better? I don't care if it's a stranger. I don't care if it's my mother, my family member, my friends, my son, the woman in your life. How can I make your life better? And I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen, man. It's going to open so many doors for you. Like just that energy alone has opened doors for me, man, that have put me in situations, that have put me in rooms that I can receive more blessings. But at the same time, you got to understand this too, man. A lot of people aren't going to understand that. A lot of people aren't going to understand that oil on your life, that abundance, that anointing, if we want to use that word, on your life, and they're going to respond different to it because they don't have a name for it. Like you gotta understand, and I can use Shannon Sharp as an example. After that interview with Cat Williams, people could understand, like, Shannon, you were just in the NFL doing the show with Skip, and now you're doing like Tyrese said, now you're doing Oprah numbers. The fact that we don't understand why God is Chef being the salt on your life, since we don't understand it, we're gonna hate you. We're gonna hate you for it. You have to understand, man, that when you become a servant, it's the highest level of being. You're going to be hated, man, because a lot of people will desire that oil, but their ego won't allow them to go back to ground floor. You got to go back to ground floor, man. You got to serve, bro. I'm telling you, man, this is the highest order of living, man.